So, welcome everybody to the third of our Chaplain's Chatter, and we're today talking to Yolande Booyse, who is with us. We're delighted to see you, Yolande. Yolande is thank you very much. Yolande is the president of the Green Team, or has been this last year. And so she's going to talk a little bit about the things that motivate her in that whole area. The Green Team is a society of the university, part of the Students' Union. And actually, it's a really good time to talk to Yolande because apart from the fact that she's just finished an assignment, which is good, she's just won a number of awards from the university. She won the first prize from the Live Smart Community Festival, which is all about a particular event that she organised back in September last year, the climate concern strike, the climate justice strike. So we may hear more about that. She's won 2 gnomies, as they're called. These are these little gnomes that you get from the Students' Union Awards. One for, tell me what were they for again, Yolande?
So excellence in sustainability, which is the green gnome. And then outstanding contribution to the SU.
Great, lovely. So, yes, so 2 of those. So actually it's a really good day as well because it's World Environment Day. So it's a really good day to talk to Yolande. So Yolande, you're not from the UK. Do you want to just say a little bit about how you ended up, first of all, at the University of Gloucestershire?
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised in South Africa. I spent a large part of my youth growing up on a farm. My grandparents had a farm and I used to live with them, and it really kind of solidified my love for nature then, because as a kid, especially back in the day, you weren't supervised by any adult. You just had to kind of entertain yourself, and for me that was with dirt and leaves of the trees and all sorts of things. So I love that. I came to the UK when I was 21. It was a dream of mine. I moved to Cheltenham a few years after that. Fell in love with Cheltenham, and I careered it. I was a company director for many years for a local company, but really something was itching inside, and I knew that I wanted to be more valuable to the world and contribute in a meaningful way. I think it was just kind of, my eyes started opening up to the climatic catastrophes that were going on around us, and it frustrated me that nobody else was getting upset about it. Not enough of us were getting upset about it. So I decided then that I was going to give up my career. I quit my job. I was going to become a storyteller for kids. I used to dress up as a bee and tell kids stories.
I want to see the pictures.
And I wanted to tell them the story of nature and get them excited from a young age. But then as I started writing these stories, I realized that I don't want to just tell them lies, and I didn't know enough to kind of really put together a meaningful story that still had the crucial elements of how things work, like explain science to a 4-year-old. So I decided, okay, well, I need to go educate myself. So I went to an open day at the University of Gloucestershire because it was local. I was only expecting to do a short course. And one of the lecturers, Julia Webb, she got me really excited about the environmental and ecology degree. And I thought, well, I'm not doing anything else now that I don't have a job. I might as well get to a degree. So that was me, set, and off I went.
Wow, that's quite an unusual route into the university. Yeah. And do you think that different route into the university has changed the way you've come about your studies? Has it made a difference to your time?
100%. I'm a total advocate of going to university as a mature student. And I'm not saying wait as long as I did. I'm just saying find your feet in the world and get to know you, get to learn about yourself, and then you can make that decision. Because if I did have the opportunity to go to university when I was 18, I would have gone to study psychology just because, well, I didn't know what else better to study, and I would have done nothing with that. Whereas now it was very much a conscientious decision, and I'd thought about it carefully. I know I jumped into it, but I knew that this was the route that I wanted to go down, and make this a career and a passion.
Yeah. And how has it been then? So you're just coming towards the end of your final year of this course. How's it been?
So, I mean, it's been so hard. I mean, I was a terrible A-level student. I was a very troubled child at that stage. So I scraped through my A-levels. One of them, I did do science. I did chemistry and physics. I think that's what it's called. But I literally scraped through. So when I picked up a science degree and actually started to have to deliver assignments, I mean, I failed 2 of my assignments in my first year. I was terrible at it. I was absolutely terrible at it. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I didn't appreciate how hard it would be, especially as you're older as well, and especially having the career that I did. My head was so full of other things, and because I was engineered as such to know it all and to be that fountain of knowledge, you forget to it's hard to completely wipe the slate clean and become a sponge again. So that whole process was immensely challenging.
Yeah.
I remember spending my first summer studying how to study. That's how I spent my summer. I literally learned how to study.
And how do you feel now you come towards the end of it? Does it feel like it's been worth it? It was the right choice to do?
100%. I mean, I think a degree gives you so much more than just that piece of paper and the knowledge that you've learned along the way. You grow as a person in so many ways that you just weren't expecting whatsoever. So, and you have to adjust your style, and this is still a challenge for me in terms of I have very much a journalistic style of writing, and you have to become that scientific voice where you're objective about facts, and that in itself has been so valuable to me because I was a bit of a know-it-all beforehand. I was one of those typical people that I'd read a little bit about something and then I'd know the whole thing. Whereas when you study, you have to put all of that aside, all of your opinions aside, and you really have to weigh things up objectively. And even then, you realize that there's room for error and there's room for interpretation. So I think that's such a valuable lesson to have learned. Really grateful for that.
So you've been doing that academic work, but obviously you have a passion for communicating, going back to the dressing up as a bee and the storytelling, and for getting involved in the whole issue of your concern for the environment and all the issues that are around that at the moment. And so I remember being a tiny bit involved with what you were doing when you put on the, you and others, but you were very much the leading light, put on the climate concern strike back in September. Do you want to say anything about that event and what it meant for you and why was it important?
So I think in my second year, I think my first year I was trying to find my feet as a student. Second year, I really started getting into the nitty-gritty, and with one of my modules, which was on contemporary issues, that we tackled climate change. And to be fair, I don't know that I actually looked very deeply into it. And it took me 2 days to really sift through the evidence so that in my own mind I could be certain that this wasn't just a natural waxing and waning of natural climate seasons as such, that this was genuinely what's known as an anthropogenically accelerated global warming. So once that hit me, I went, wow, we're in trouble. Like, we are really responsible for this. And the pace that this, rock is rolling down the mountain is destroying every, you know, all other species along with it, and we'll be with them too. It's not just, you know, it's not just the birds and the bees that are going to suffer. We're going to suffer too. Nobody can sustain this kind of level of acceleration. We're not able to adapt fast enough, and we'll lose so much in the process. And then that summer, my second year, I lost my dad, and those two things together really put a sense of urgency within me that there's no time to mess about. We really have to kind of get on this, and if I'm serious about the path that I want to take, I need to step it up again. And I had an email from I don't know, I saw it online, I think, that there was a climate strike being planned in September, and this was going to be something that was global. And I said to myself, I'm definitely getting involved in that. I'm attending that, and I'm going to make my voice heard. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in and really start stepping it up a gear. And I searched online looking for the local Chaplain strike, and there was nothing. So in my mind it was, well, that's it. I'm sorting it out then, obviously. So
obviously, yeah.
Happening. So, and that I don't even explain it, but there was just like this compelling fire within me. I used to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning. I literally could not sleep. I couldn't eat. I was so totally focused on, we got to get as many people there as possible. We got to get the word out. We got to get the news agents there. We've got to get influential people there. We have to get as many people involved. If I'm going to do this, I need to do this justice. And the people that give up their time on the day, it's got to feel valuable to them as well, that it's not just being a jolly day out. This is actually going to have some impact. So it was incredibly stressful. And, and I remember on the day, we'd given it all. I gave it all that I had, and I was exhausted to the bone. And and then 1,000 people turned up, right? So, but we're literally in front of the town hall, and I was obviously at the back of the crowd, bringing everybody along. And I get there, and I realized that, oh my God, these people we need a focus, we need a direction. We can't just stand here and shout. We need to bring our energies together in a meaningful way. So I stood up, and I think I gave a talk or something. We're doing cheering, whatnot. And there were just points where you look out at the crowd and you just go, I don't have anything more to give. I don't know how to do this. And it was like the angels had descended at that moment. From the right-hand side, we had this crowd of 500 strong, fierce young women with they had this banner that was as big as a bus, right? Yeah. Marching along down the promenade, shouting at the top of their voices. And I don't know if I could have been any more grateful in that moment. It was
great. Reinforcements for the Cheltenham Ladies College with big banners saying, we don't want a hot planet, we want a hot boyfriend. All this sort of stuff. Exactly. It was great. Yeah, but really passionate about it. And that was lovely, because it showed, I think, people who'd gone, because it was wonderful to be there and be part of this march from in front of the chapel at Francis Grace Hall, and everybody gathering and having that first speech, and then marching through the town with everybody shouting and joining in and getting there, and then seeing this is the passion of children and young people, that they want to have a different world. It was very striking. So that was I guess very successful. And then you've had the green team at the university, and you've organised different things with them. Anything particular stand out for you in what you've been doing with the green team?
It was great to do different things. So very soon we established kind of like a framework for this, because people come to this at different stages. So there's the first stage where you know something's wrong, but you don't know enough about it to have solidified a strong conviction. So we had our awareness campaigns in the sense of, we had the film night where people could come and learn about the issues at hand, and then we'd have a discussion panel around that to say, well, how do you feel about that? And, you know, what are your thoughts on this? What did you kind of gain from that? And then you have to take people to the next stage where when the reality sets in and then the emotion kind of, descends on you. And that's either anger or frustration or sadness. I mean, mourning or loss, you know, you feel a deep sense of mourning and sadness. So it's important to support people around that. And that's why we had the climate cafes, which you were involved in as well. And that was really the point of that, so that you could create that space for people to digest those emotions, so that you can be constructive with that energy. Because if you just leave it hanging, I think that can be a destructive force. And we see that around, where people are just, you know, let's call it mindlessly, but they're just aimlessly angry at the world. So it's important to be able to direct that energy into a force. So then your next phase would be, you know, once they've kind of digested that and gone, okay, what do I do now? So then you have the action part of that, and that would be like the recycling efforts that we did, or something where people can physically get involved, the litter picks, all of that. We can go, okay, right, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to get actively involved. And then the final stage would be now you can take that and you can share that with others. So that is more of a mentoring. We do presentations. We had this whole host of being involved. Like we developed this talk that we gave to the council, which followed on from them creating the youth climate panel, which was amazing. But they kept on, what was happening behind the scenes, they kept on inviting us back to present this talk to business leaders, to different departments of the council. And then instead of me just doing that, I got the green team members to do that, and they were petrified, honestly. They were like, oh, I don't know if I could do that, you know. But we gave them the tools. I did practice rounds with them where they deliver the talk to me. We set it all out, you know, kind of like pacing, just really kind of going into the nitty-gritty of presentation as such. And now those guys are huge like advocates and leaders in their own right, which is really lovely to see.
That's wonderful. Thank you. You've just described so well this sort of journey from first having a concern, and then allowing the emotion and supporting it, and then moving on to actually action, and then the passing on the information, the training. So in a way, the whole green team is not like we're a little society that does little actions on sustainability, whatever it is. It's much more a sort of development and a learning for people, where they begin to make this part of themselves, and they can share it with other people, and that's how it can grow. So that's really, really fascinating, really helpful. And I've always been struck by how positive you are about everything you want to do, and absolutely passionate. And you mentioned that it can be quite overwhelming for people when they come up against reality. So have you had times like that when you've just felt really, down and like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do about this sort of times?
100%. I mean, I feel that right now, with the coronavirus and, once again, environment taking having to take a step back. We were making such good progress, and now all of a sudden that's out of the window, and, what's the next step? But I don't know. It's probably just something inside that it's hard. I'd say that that's quite an abstract thing to even explain. But I couldn't even imagine. I will. So I've suffered from depression in my life, and being in that deep dark space, like hitting rock bottom. There's nowhere else to go. And sometimes that's a comforting place, but because you realize that there's nothing there for you, you have to go back the other way. Because with hope, hope inspires you to dream of a better world, and our world is not prescribed by we're not powerless in this world. I know we can feel like that, but we genuinely can make a difference. And we've seen that in so many other movements where enough people come together, a strong force of people facing in the same direction, you can make powerful changes. And I love this place. Earth is a wonderful place to be. I know it has its rubbish, but like nature, the natural part of this world, and just the magic of what is around us is too beautiful and too precious to just discard in a heap of hopelessness. So I have to, because that place of darkness and despair is, well, it's a bit boring down there, So
we do.
There's like a hope inside me that if I don't at least try, I'll never know. And it does work. So why can't it work for me too?
No, that's lovely. And I know when we were talking about this before, you were saying that, and maybe this links in with what you've been talking about there, that you have quite deep roots for this concern about the natural world, which come from, I guess, a more spiritual place within you. Do you want to say something about that?
I suppose it started as a young kid. I mean, I had quite absent parents, so I had to spend a lot of the time entertaining myself, and that luckily was in nature. So nature has always been a comfort and a friend to me. And as you kind of go along in your life, you forget about things. But I remember it was 2013, I was going through a really tough personal time, and I took a weekend to go, do you know what, I just need to kind of digest what I'm going through and just think about this. And I remember I was sitting there, and there was a decision I needed to make, and it was too hard for me to have the courage to do it. And I felt something on my shoulder, and as I looked around, there was a wasp. And this wasp literally, like, obviously was doing its thing, and then it saw my face, and its legs went up, its mouth went open, the eyes went wide, and the antennas it just went and it was gonna have me, and it was this tiny, and it didn't even hesitate. It knew exactly what it was gonna do. It was gonna fight for its life. It was so brave, right? And I just went, oh my God, here's me being a coward, not being able to make, take the action that I know is the right thing for me to do. Yet this little wasp on my shoulder, without hesitation, will have me, will do its best to try. And it really, I mean, I have a weird relationship with nature. I really kind of, like, I see God in everything around us, and I'd spend long periods of time just kind of, let's call it meditation, where you just literally drop everything and you're able to kind of have a direct conversation. And God has always spoken to me through that. So the wasp was just a great example of, like, universe, I call it the universe, God saying to me, do you know what, stop being a coward, you know what to do, just get on with it, you've got nothing to fear here. And it was the best decision I ever made. And that kind of took me on my journey to really focus on protecting nature, because this was my place of, this is my church, this is my home, this is my family. I'm not going to let any, I'm not just going to sit by while other people destroy that, or have a global agenda of not appreciating that. I'm going to fight for it.
Thank you. I mean, I think it strikes me that you're sort of a long way ahead, and a lot of the people who do go to church are feeling their way to saying, actually, God isn't just interested in the church, or even just interested in humanity, but actually we are part of this wider family, and as you say, the world is our church. So we're learning about that, but that's obviously been part of your journey, which is great to hear. I'm aware that we're coming towards the end of our time. It's been really good to talk to you. and we have really good conversations. And
this is another one.
Yeah. So yes. So thinking about the future, you've got something immediate that you're doing just to finish off your course here. Do you want to just say a bit about that?
So my final module is doing a placement with the university, and we're going to work on the biodiversity action plan for the university to really kind of put the business case forward of prioritizing our natural capital. It's called natural capital, our natural world, because we are only now starting to realize the true value of nature. And I don't know how this has happened, but we've really had a disconnect of humans over here, nature over here. We kind of, it's almost like we're going to the shops, right?
Yeah.
But without nature, we're not in existence, and we're missing out on so much value by not integrating and really integrating with nature and what nature has to provide. Because at the end of the day, I don't know. I just think we're missing a trick by not incorporating a closer relationship with nature and paying our due.
So you're taking that right down to the university and what we do, and working with the university sustainability team. And I know you've worked a lot with them during your time here.
Absolutely core to the success of the green team as well. I mean, what people might not realize, as even though we're a society, we work very closely with both the university in terms of the staff, as well as the SU and the sustainability team. So that's a key part of what we do, and they really listen.
Yeah. So that's that. And then what about after that? What about when you finished your course?
I've been very lucky to secure a funded master's continuing the work of my dissertation. So my dissertation was about sustainable agriculture, because food security is a huge problem for the future, and how where farming is, the farming industry is on its knees, and it needs to change, and it's already changing. So it's looking at, I'm doing some research on harnessing the power of the jobs that, so what we do as humans, where we make like the free stuff, like your bacteria, your earthworms, all of the organisms that work for free, we've made them redundant, and then we've replaced them with our own services, but those have been inept. So we've had to place more money, and now we just have a really messy system. So we have to take all of that away. We have to bring in our free labor, repay them, obviously not with money. You can't slip a tree a tenner, but repay them with what they are looking for. So really kind of, work together. So that's really what the master's program is about. So I'm really excited about that. I can't wait. I start that in July.
And where are you doing that?
So it's accredited by the University of Gloucestershire. So I'll still be popping by for a cup of tea.
Hey, good.
But it's based at the Royal Agricultural University, which is a big agricultural university.
Yeah, perfect. So it's still local. You can still live where you're living and all that sort of stuff. Oh, that sounds really interesting. And I imagine after that it will be Minister for Agriculture somewhere, and then working to the World Food Programme. And we're looking forward to seeing how that all goes. That sounds really good. So, but thank you for sharing your passion, but also the way that you've deeply thought through this and your desire to communicate what you've thought about, Yolande. It's been really good to hear from you. And I know that if you want to catch Yolande again, she is going to be giving one of the 5 minutes to change the world talks on the University of Gloucestershire Sustainability Facebook page on Wednesday, I think, next Wednesday. So they have these talks all next week at 12:30, so do have a look there, and Yolande will be doing the one on Wednesday. This talk is on our Facebook page, as you can see, also on our YouTube channel, and we have 2 other Chaplain's Chatters, which we've had already, and there will be more in the series, so we look forward to that. So do look them up. But thank you again to Yolande. It's been really good to hear from you as this part of our Chaplain's Chatter series. And all the best for the future.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.